Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is population ecology. In this chapter, first point that we are going to understand is population. Population, we simply tell it's a simple word, it's a very clear, but we need to give a definition. What is population? Look in this picture. Population is a group of same species, correct? Group of same species. They can mate each other, and also they are seen in a specific area at a particular time. That type group is called population. So populations are group of same species which are found in specific area and particular time, and also they can mate each other. Such a group is called population. The next point is gene pool. What is gene pool? Gene pool. Pool means it's a collection of something. Gene pool means a collection of genes. Genes from where? If we consider a population and if we are isolating each and every type of gene from a population and pull together, then we can call it as a gene pool. Means it is a sum total of all the available different varieties of gene from a population. So gene pool is the stock of different genes in an interbreeding. That term also important. Interbreeding population. It means that population may be of same species. Terms. All these terms will come as 1 mark question. Okay. Dem means it's a local population. For example, if we consider the case of human population is distributed throughout the world. So just consider human population in India and Pakistan. So human population in India is a term. Similarly, human population in Pakistan is another term. That means local population. They are a clustered population. And also these terms can interbreed. This always happening that Indian woman or man get married to Pakistan man or woman like that. So interbreeding also possible. So terms are is a term for a local population of polytypic species that actively interbreed with one another and share a distinct gene pool. That populations should have a distinct gene pool also. So even if they belong to one species, but still then they have some differences with regarding to certain features. So that's why there will be some difference, chance for some difference exists there in their gene pool. That's what I expressed here. Distinct gene pool. Each term should have distinct gene pool. Next, what is population ecology? Population ecology what? Population ecology deals with population. It's clear? Population ecology deals with population and its growth, its density, its size, its multiplication, its natality. Natality means birth rate. Its competition, its mortality means death rate, and its tolerance. All these parameters of population are also considering and studying under this branch. Population ecology. Population ecology deals with population, its growth, density, size, multiplication, natality, competition, mortality, and tolerance. There are some other characteristics also for population. Which are the other characteristics? Populations are self-regulating. They have the capacity to regulate themselves. They have, next point, they have its own dynamics. Population size will not stay constant forever. It always change. Sometimes population size increase, sometimes it decrease. So it has its own dynamics. So it have its own interrelationship inside the population. So many interrelationships are there exist between the species. Then they have the potential for increase. All these are other characteristics of population. Then speaking about group characteristics of a population. Group characteristics as a whole, population have some group characteristics. Which are the characteristics? They are density. Density is a group characteristics. Natality also a group. Mortality. Then immigration. Immigration means coming towards a population. Immigration means is going out from a population. Then age distribution, dispersion, growth, regulation, genetic composition. All these are group characteristics. Once more, which are the group characteristics? Density, natality, mortality, immigration, emigration, distribution, dispersion, growth, regulation, and genetic composition. Okay. Then properties of population. What are the properties of population? We are going to see now. So in this part, small terms are coming, and all the terms are very important. All can be as 1 mark or 2 mark question. Population density. What is population density? In that way also can be asked. What is population density? It denotes the size of population in unit space. For example, if we consider your classroom, then consider the number of students sitting in one bench. So that is the population density of your classroom. It means in one bench, how many are occupied. That is the population density or with respect to your classroom. So here simply what is population density? It is the population size in where in unit space of a considered large area. Okay, that's population density. Then what is biomass? Biomass what? It is a total quantity or weight of organism in a given area or volume. Means this is about the size, how much size is there, but it is dealing with the quantity or weight of organism. Quantity. We can assess biomass by interpreting the quantity or how much weight. That value denotes the biomass of that population in a given area. Crude density. Crude density means here there is a large area, and we are considering that the whole area is suitable for living, and think that and we are making a calculation about number of individuals that is present in unit area of that large area. Understand? That is the crude density, simply. So crude density is what? It's the number of individuals per unit area of a total area. Crude density once more is the number of individuals per unit area. Similarly, so many units are there. Unit area, each unit area of a total area. That is crude density. Crude. The term itself denotes as something is not correct. Crude. What's this drawback? It may not be correct. Why it is not correct? Because if we consider a large area, there is no guarantee that every region, every part of that area is suitable to support life. Is providing optimum condition for the existence of a population. So there is no guarantee for that. So that crude density may not be correct every time. Next, Ecological density. Ecological density is more correct. What it is telling that in ecological density, we are considering a large amount of total area, and we are considering which areas of this total area is suitable for supporting life or suitable to consider as a habitat. Then we are identifying or understanding or interpreting the density in that habitat area only. So it's more correct. Ecological density is more correct. Uh, Total area, in that total area, which area is more, which area can be considered as a habitat. That is first find out. Then we are assessing the density there only. That is ecological density. Then density, for density there is a formula. D is equal to Na by T, and each letter denotes D for density. N is equal to number of individual. A means area. T is a time unit. So this is equation. And which are the factors affecting the density? What factors affect density? What factors are natality? Natality, will the natality affect density? Density means number of individuals. Natality means birth rate. Yes, natality can affect. Mortality, mortality also can affect the density. Immigration, immigration means an individual species or one or more species or one or more individual of a population is leaving its home population, that is moving out of the population, that is emigration. Then immigration, all these are affecting the population density. Then some other features also there that affecting the density of population. They are external features. They are season may affect the density. Some season may turn adverse to the existence of population, and they in that way the population size may decrease. So weather conditions, food supply, and presence of more predator, all these are other factors, external factors that affecting the density. We can tell it as physiological factors. Then limitations of density. Limitations of density means the density didn't give any information about distribution pattern. We can assess only by analyzing or interpreting density. We can assess only how many individuals are present. We cannot understand. We cannot know that how they are distributed. In which all places the number of individuals are more. In which all area the number of individuals are very less. That we cannot understand by knowing only the density. So that's a drawback. Then population growth. Population growth is affected by two features. They are reproduction and death rate. These are the two properties that affects the population growth. Which are they? Reproduction and death rate. Then what is growth? Where is that? What is growth? Growth means the capacity of an individual to increase the number of individuals, means capacity to reproduce. That is growth. Growth means the capacity of an individual to increase the number of individuals. That is growth. Next, which are the forces that are affecting the growth? That also we need to know. As a two type of balance is existing. First balance is between natality and immigration. Consider that two terms, natality and immigration. Natality means we know birth rate. Certainly it will increase the population size. Immigration means some other individuals are coming to us or adding to the population, so that also increasing the size of the population. So totally that balance is adding population. Okay. That is the first balance. Then next one is between mortality. Mortality means death rate. So the death rate will decrease population. Okay. Then death rate and emigration. That is the other second category of balance between mortality and emigration. Both will remove population. Then we need to understand that when the first balance is between natality and immigration. If it outrun the balance between mortality and immigration, what will happen? The population size increase. Any doubt? No. Because natality and immigration, that balance, it is exceeding, outrun which balance? Mortality and immigration. So the population size will increase. Then consider the other side. Other side means the balance between mortality and immigration is exceeding the balance between natality and immigration. Then what will happen? Population size will decrease. To think that. Very simple. Next, this is the balance. It's already given here. First set balance is between natality and immigration. Both are adding population. When this balance exceeds this balance, size of the population increase. Natality exceeds the mortality. This balance, population size will increase. Similarly, when this balance exceeds the other one, population size decrease. Next is fecundity. Fecundity. What is fecundity? Fecundity is nothing but it's a reproductive capacity. It's another term for the reproductive capacity. Fecundity. What is fecundity? It is the potential reproductive capacity. How can we measure protective reproductive capacity of an individual? How can we measure that? Through considering number of gametes. How many gametes are forming from that individual per generation? By assessing that, we can understand the fecundity. Then how it is measured once more? It is measured by considering the number of gametes or the number of asexual propagules. Propagule means any plant material that is used for the purpose of plant propagation. It may be of stem, bud, any sort of like that. Okay. Example, fecundity. For understanding the term fecundity, protozoan and planktons. If we consider the case of protozoan, they divide rapidly in every hour. Every hour. Right. And in the case of planktons, new generations are happening only after few days. So, which have more fecundity? Certainly, protozoan have more fecundity, more reproductive capacity. That's fecundity. Then biotic potential. What is biotic potential? Biotic potential is also some relative word to that of fecundity. Mm, it is the innate capacity of a population for growth. What is biotic potential? It is the innate capacity of a population for growth. And that biotic potential represents the maximum rate of population growth. When this maximum population growth is possible? When there is no limitation, when there is no restrictions like adverse climate, presence of predators. If no such restrictions are existed, then maximum growth is possible. Otherwise, it's not possible. It is only a hypothesis. So for explaining biotic potential, G.F. Gauss put forward an example of Paramecium cordatum, and he added Paramecium cordatum to a new medium And first it flourished very fast because there is no limiting factors, all conditions are very favorable. So initially the number is very less, then start to grow, and then it flourished very fast. uh, there's a example experiment to understand the biotic potential. And it differs from species. That biotic potential differs from species to species. For example, bacterial growth and oak tree growth, which has more biotic potential. Certainly, bacteria replicate every 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So, which is the main criteria that determine the biotic potential? Certainly, it's a lifespan. Understand that if an organism have a very short lifespan, so for sustaining their species in the biosphere, they need to produce more number of offspring, otherwise they may extinct. Understand? Because ants, butterflies all have very short lifespan, so they will produce, or flies, they will produce more number of offspring for sustaining, for keeping that population survive for long in the biosphere. So lifespan is the main criteria that determine the biotic potential. Okay. Then carrying capacity. What is carrying capacity? Carrying capacity. Listen for that name. Capacity. What is that? Because you think that you are carrying some amount number of textbook in your hand. So one teacher asks you to take this much textbook to other class and to distribute. So for avoiding so much walking, you are taking as much of books as you can. Okay, there's a limit, and beyond that, if you're taking any more number of books, then all the books that previously you hold may fell down. So there is a limit. It's an optimum limit. That limit, that capacity is called the carrying capacity. It's a saturation point. So, whenever a population is introduced in a new environment, new habitat, first it grow exponentially, very fast, and as it that population size reaches a saturation limit, then there is no remarkable increase beyond that, because there is it's not possible, because after reaching that limit, there is no enough space or other supporting environment factors for increasing the population size further. So that, what is carrying capacity? Carrying capacity is the that saturation level. Saturation level. Whenever a population reaches that saturation level, after that there is no remarkable increase in population size. And it is proposed by again G.F. Gause, and is applicable to relatively long lasting habitat. Long lasting habitat only show this property, carrying capacity. And carrying capacity, very 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 important question. Which are the factors determining the carrying capacity? Main factors are food supply, then oxygen, predators presence, and the spread of disease. So all these will affect the carrying capacity. When a population or a habitat or population reaches its carrying capacity, then there will be competition for the available food supply. So that will affect, that will stabilize the population size without increasing further. Then oxygen supply, if oxygen supply is depleted, that also affects, that reduce, that put some restriction for further increase in the size of the population. Predators presence, disease presence, all these are the factors determining the carrying capacity. Then environmental resistance. What is environmental resistance? Resistance means what are the opposing forces against the growth, that are environmental resistance. The environmental resistance are those forces that decrease the population growth. That is environmental resistance. Which are the resisting forces? Examples: they are natural death. No, natural death is there. Disease there. Then predation, lack of suitable habitat, changes in the climate, emigration, etc. All these are factors. Environmental resistance. Then there's the equation for population increase. For representing population increase, there is another equation. P is equal to BP minus ER. BP means biotic potential. ER means environmental resistance. Population increase, you know that biotic potential is the normal maximum. How much? What capability to increase the number? That is biotic potential. From that number, we are subtracting the environmental resistance. Then another equation is there. Rate of population increase. It depends upon, certainly it depends upon the number of reproductive individuals. Depending on the number of reproductive individuals, the population's growth, the population's um, increase happens according to the number of reproductive individuals. The equation is n by t is equal to m. N means, capital N means change in the number of individual. Where is it? Change in the number of individual in a given period is n. R is its reproductive rate, and the small n is the number of reproductive individuals. So each letter denotes. Then carrying capacity. For carrying capacity, this equation also you need to by heart. N by t is equal to n r k. K is a constant. K minus n divided by capital K. Again, that constant. N means number of, small n is the number of reproductive individual. Capital N means change in the number of individual in a given period. R is the reproductive rate. Then relationship between biotic potential and environmental resistance. How biotic potential relates with the environmental resistance. Biotic potential, we already know that it's the innate capability of population to maximize maximal reproduction. So biotic potential again is the maximum possible rate of population increase with the ideal condition. Ideal. That term is important. With ideal condition. Then fluctuations in biotic potential. When the fluctuations are happening maximum in early stages, then it declines. What declines? That biotic potential. Biotic potential is maximum in early stages of population, and then gradually declines because of environmental resistance, and finally ends up in a balance. Then that after attaining that balance, then there is no chance of further increase. Then which are the factors affecting that balance? Which are the factors? That also we have already mentioned. Anyway, once more repeating in another way. That is density stabilizing factors. So many are there. Intrinsic means that factors that is existing inside that population itself. Which are those factors? Competition exists inside the population itself. That factor determine the population growth. Then predation also exists in that population. Immigration, migration, disease, all these are the intrinsic factors that affects the stability. Then certainly there are density independent, means certain other factors also there. That factors doesn't depend on what's the density of that population. It's not considering these factors not considering, not caring the density of population. But when these extrinsic factors are there, it will affect the population's density. And then we are going to see which are the extrinsic factors. Because availability of space, we know that, because depending on the size or density of population, or the space availability. is already from the beginning of the growth of that population itself, the space, that area is the same. So it is an extrinsic factor. And availability of food. Food also, it doesn't depend upon the density. It will be there. It's not caring the density. So it's an extrinsic factor. Weather also is not considering what is the density. Then I can be like this. It's not like that. So weather also an extrinsic factor. Then natality. What is natality means? Birth rate. Natality means birth rate. Then physiological natality is there and ecological natality. Physiological natality means it's only an imaginate, it's a hypothetical number. It's not real. Because if we are thinking that or considering, if these are the conditions, this much individuals may produce. It's a hypothetical. So physiological natality is a hypothetical condition. It's impossible. Example, don't know, Musca domestica means housefly. In the case of housefly, every day it produces this much of eggs. How much, how to count this number? I don't know. If you have time, you go spend time to count this number. This much eggs there it is laying, and if it become a reality, if it's really happened, then we cannot find enough space to even walk or move, because everywhere may be filled up with this fly. So it's not happening really. So that is physiological natality. It's not real. Then ecological natality. Ecological means real. It's real. Because by adjusting with the environmental resistance, what is the real number of offspring produced? So ecological natality. Equation is dNn by dt. Nn means production of new individuals in a population. Then dt means the unit time. Then specific natality rate, that is dNn by ndt. So then explanation is there. Number of new individuals in unit time, specific natality of a unit population. We are considering a unit population, and at a unit time, what is the number of new individuals? That is specific natality rate. Specific natality rate is dNn by ndt. Then capital N is there. Capital N means total of reproductive part of population. Among that population, how many are in reproductive age? That number is capital N. Okay. Then we are going to see mortality. Mortality means death rate. Potential mortality or minimum mortality. Potential mortality or minimum mortality means it's the theoretical, only theoretical minimum loss of lives under ideal condition. Means we are thinking about human population, the maximum age, average age range maybe of 80. Then after 80, then started to have some age related disease, and may that person may die by an age of like that we are thinking. That is the theoretical potential mortality. Under ideal condition, what is the minimum loss? Then ecological mortality means it's a realized mortality. It is the actual loss of lives under a given set of conditions. Then measurement, how we can measure the mortality? Direct method is there. Mortality. Direct method means capture recapture method, because we consider a pond, and we need to understand the mortality rate. First we capture capture. If we are going to analyze the mortality rate in a particular species of fish, so we are catching each fish, tagging means labeling that fish and releasing. Then after a period, again we are recapturing, and we are assessing whether all the fishes that we are previously tagged is present that time also. There is any number and numbers. If there is any reduction in the number, based on that we are assessing the mortality. That is the direct method, capture recapture method. Next, indirect method. Indirect method means first we are conducting a study of a population considering individuals representing different age groups. Examples, simply I put some figures. Different age groups. We are conducting a study. Then we are analyzing the death rate. What is the death rate with respect to this age group? What is the death rate with respect to this one, this one, this one? That we are analyzing. Then we understand in which age group more death rate. After understanding, after as what in calculating or enumerating the death rate with respect to age group, with each age group, then we are uh, analyze and find out which age group have more death rate. Then we come to the study, the what the specimen population. So specimen population means a population that we want to study. We consider that population and then we analyze. What analyze? What is the composition of that population? Composition means uh, the what is the number of these different age class in the specimen population. If that specimen population have more number of age group with more mortality rate, then we can assess that that population have more mortality. Understand? Means firstly we conduct a study and understand that in which age group more death rate is there. Then with that knowledge we go and study the specimen population. If that specimen population is more abundant with that age category that experiencing more death rate, then very easily we can tell that mortality rate for that specimen population is more. Clear? Okay, that is the indirect method. Then population growth forms. Population growth form also very important. In population growth form, many phases, mainly three phases are there. Positive acceleration phase is there, logarithmic phase is there, and negative acceleration phase is there. Positive acceleration phase means whenever a population is introduced to a new habitat, then first it need to acclimatize, it need to adjust with that situation. Conditions prevail there. So that is the positive accelerations, adjustment phase. Then logarithmic phase. Logarithmic phase means exponentially after adjustment the number of population is increasing. That phase is logarithmic phase. Then negative acceleration phase is there. Negative acceleration phase means then population number is declining due to the environmental resistance. Then carrying capacity, mainly instead of this negative acceleration phase, we always used to say carrying capacity is the third phase mainly. So main three phases are positive acceleration phase, logarithmic phase, and carrying capacity. Carrying capacity, you already know that it is the maximum limit that a habitat can support a particular size of population. That's the limit, maximum limit. We are going to see the normal graph. This is the graph for population growth. Population growth curve. Okay. The positive isolation phase, logarithmic phase, and the carry capacity. Okay. This graph also you need to, very importantly, you need to draw along with that answer. So different types of growth curves are there. What is the purpose of different population curves? To indicate the increase or decrease in population number. What is the purpose of growth curves? If we want to indicate the increase or decrease in the population number, then we will use the growth curves. Then how we are plotting that growth curves? I'll show you. Hmm. Time will be in the x-axis and the number of organisms in the y-axis. In this way we are plotting them. Then next, two types of curves are mainly there: S-shaped curve and J-shaped curve. S-shaped curve is a sigmoid shaped curve. This is a curve that I already showed you first, the beginning of population growth. Again I will show. Let's say S shape. S shape, somewhat S shape. Sigmoid. What is the peculiarity? First the population grow very slowly, then grow exponentially, then again slows down because of environmental resistance. That is S shaped. So whenever questions like growth curves, different types of growth curves, you need to mention what is its purpose, what are the two types. S shape means what's the shape and its peculiarity, how the population is growing according to the S shaped curve. And for getting an S-shaped curve, what is the limitation? It requires optimal condition. Under optimal condition only, the S-shaped curve is possible. Example, parameciums growth in the laboratory condition. Laboratory condition means the experimenting person is providing ideal conditions. So exponential growth is possible and is possible to obtain this sigmoid curve. Then we are going to see the J-shaped curve. J-shaped curve. Look its appearance. Somewhat first slow growth, then exponential, then suddenly yeah, the population is declining or stop, extinct. So J-shaped curve means first the density start and increases very fast, and suddenly it stop and come to the end of that population. Sudden death of that totally or whole, totally or a part of population suddenly disappears. And this type of curves usually happens whenever some catastrophe happens, some sudden abrupt changes happen that may very severely affecting that population. If such things happen, then J-shaped curve will occur. Dinosaurs case also we can draw this curve suddenly. Then next, age distribution. Importance. What is the distribution? Importance of age distribution. Uh, uh, Importance means it influences the population's behavior. That age distribution influence population's main behavior like natality and mortality. We can understand that point very clearly. As we going to see three categories of age, three age groups in a population. Three age groups are there. Pre-reproductive means those didn't attain the reproductive stage, and those are in reproductive phase, and those that are in post means they have already finished their reproductive phase. These are the three phases: pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. Then consider if a population, that population is mainly composed of pre-reproductive and post-reproductive individual, then in that population mortality rate will be more. And if that consider another population, and in that population more individuals are in reproductive phase, then natality rate will be more. So in that sense, we are telling that age distribution affects natality and mortality of a population. Okay. Example: locust, grasshopper, and man. So, grasshopper. Oh, what's the example? In locust, it's a type of grasshopper. Its lifespan is 17 years. Yeah, even if its lifespan is 17 years, its adult life is only 1 year. Adult life is only 1 year. So that time only it's available for that locust for reproduction. But in the case of man, all the three phases are equally distributed. A pre-reproductive phase, reproductive phase, and post-reproductive phase. All the three phases are equally distributed. Then population fluctuation. Three pattern of population changes are there. Non-fluctuating, cyclic, erratic. The three patterns mainly. So we are going to see each one. Non-fluctuating. Non-fluctuating means the population's number is there is no there is no significant change in the number or size of the population throughout the year. Such type of fluctuation is called a non-fluctuating. Some changes only happening, and that changes happen only annually in the case of non-fluctuating. Then maximum reproduction time, during their maximum reproduction time, the addition of population is happening, and only during adverse climatic condition, loss of individuals are happening in the case of non-fluctuating. That's the reason the population size number is not fluctuating. That is non-fluctuating. Then cyclic. Cyclic is like this one. How regular ups and downs are here. Regular ups and downs are here. And it appearance almost sigmoid. And what is the reason? Mainly because of just one. Why these regular ups and downs? Mainly because of seasonal changes. The seasonal changes are regular, and based on that the population size is fluctuating. That type of fluctuations are called a cyclic. Then eruptive. Eruptive means in this case also ups and downs are present, but it is not regular. Reason also is not very clear why that ups are happening or downs are happening. Its reason are not obvious, means not clear. In such type of fluctuations, the population may show very high density for a short time, and then suddenly acute dying off is happening, and the population size may reduce to below normal level. Then again increase. This ups and down is happening. That ups and downs are not regular, and the reason also not clear. So the three pattern. Then apart from this, seasonal fluctuations also there. Seasonal means how seasonal fluctuations are happening. They are the part of adaptations. Adaptations. How we are adapting to season based on that fluctuation. That's seasonal fluctuation. Example: mosquito and housefly. They are more only during a particular time of a year. Then annual fluctuation. Annual fluctuation means fluctuations happen by physical environment. Physical means extrinsic, external factors. Based on that, changes, fluctuations are happening, and that also annually. And also in by intrinsic factors also causing annual fluctuations. Example again locust grasshopper. They are inert. They are inactive most of the year. And suddenly the population number is increasing. And they immigrate to the nearby fields and flourish. It's an example for annual fluctuation. Then population dispersion. Population dispersion means what? Dispersion means it's the moving out or moving in of individuals individuals of a population. Um, from the population, individuals can move out or individuals can move in. That distribution is called the population dispersion. What is the importance of population dispersion? It helps the proper distribution of the individuals and also for the interchange of genetic material between population, and also this may lead to evolution of species. New species can be formed because of this population dispersion. That is its important. The importance helps in distribution, interchange of genetic material, and evolution of species. Then three patterns of distributions are there: uniform, random, and clumped. Uniform means how the uniform distribution. It is a regular means where it is happening uniform distribution wherever competition is more between the individuals. If a large amount, a small amount of area, you consider that everywhere there is competition. So the individuals cannot stay together in a particular place. So they distribute evenly everywhere. So that type of distribution, that is uniform, where it occurs wherever competitions between individuals are high. Then random distribution. Random distribution means where all environments are uniform. It is very rare also. This type of distribution is very rare. If environment is uniform, then organisms can stay wherever they desire. No need to consider about is it optimal for their existence or not like that. So, and also that condition is very rare. Then clumping of individuals. This is the most common form. And and the group size may be same or different, depends upon the conditions of the habitat. Then reasons for population disperses. Three reasons are there. For obtain food, for in search of food their populations are dispersing, and also for avoiding the presence of predators they are dispersing, and also to prevent overcrowding, and by that way to avoid competition. For that reason also population disperses. Then three forms of dispersals are there: emigration, immigration, and migration. Emigration means moving out. Then immigration means moving towards the population. Migration means it is the two-way movement. Um, Two-way movement, and there is examples also there. Immigration and immigration I already explained to you. Example is Texas armadillo. Texas armadillo is an organism with favorable condition. It is found only in Texas, and during unfavorable condition it moves to Mississippi. There is an example, only an example for immigration. Then migration is a two-way movement. It's a mass movement. Peculiarity means it is a mass movement. It is shown by birds, mammals, reptiles. Catadromous movements means fresh migration or movement from freshwater to marine water. Example is Ancula. Anadromous means migration or movement from marine water to fresh water. This is shown by salmon type fishes. And then bird migration. Bird migration, it is very common. Examples are Hirundo rustica. In summer season, it is seen in England, Europe, Northwest Africa. Winter season is found in Central and South Africa, and also in India. With this, we finish this chat. Thank you.